the 1st. We're into the 2nd month already in 2024. We're going to be continuing with the web production techniques class. This is the week number 4. I did point out the YouTube channel earlier that we did upload, and also remember that we didn't record the first class as well. So I think I'm going to have to just upload one more video. It shouldn't be like 4, and check it from time to time. Just give me some, I need some time myself to prepare and upload it. So just be patient, and I should have it up there for you. All right. So welcome again. I'm going to change my camera over now to my screen, and we'll get started. So as I mentioned, the class link is here, and I think this captured the, there's one more video I got to load. So not 2, we're just missing 1, which is last week. So I'm going to make sure I do that. So let's just continue where we left off. I'm glad to see a lot of you did hand in that Wordmark logo assignment. The extension was for the Sunday, so that's good. The next one is the UI kit, which we're going to talk about today. And that one you have some, I know it's due next week. I might give you that an extension as well. All because we got the software like a week late, so I think it's necessary, right? Then we got to talk about the application splash banner as well. And we'll get this, I mean, in about 3 weeks, we're going to be wrapping up this module, okay? And then we're going to get into the Photoshop stuff. So where did we leave off last week? We left off with the advanced logos exercises that we did. A lot of them presented different challenges and different type of executions. So I hope this gave you a nice experience or hands-on skill on how to execute this, from the Olympic rings logo to the other type of logos. We did the other challenge as well, like the logo challenge. We're going to continue with this one today. We're probably going to pick another 1 or 2 just to get warmed up and to keep working on your skills in Illustrator. And then we're going to get started with the other exercise that I have in mind. So I think that was pretty much the main part of the lesson. So let's go ahead and open Illustrator now. We're going to be starting with a new document, so go ahead and do that. You can also double click on this logo challenge file, as we're gonna start that off tonight. So if you want to get that document, it's under your, I think I left it here. Yeah, so under your Illustrator module, you want to get this thing called logo challenge. Okay, the next thing that we'll do today is this thing called Android logo. That's something else we're going to work on today. And next week, we're going to do the sun gradients. And then we'll get into wireframes and some other advanced rendering. Okay, so these are the exercises that we're going to work on. So for now, if you can open up this, just download this file or continue it from last week if you have it open already, the logo challenge one. If you're here, might as well get the Android logo as well. So if you click on this one, actually, let me see if this is finished, because I want you to do it from scratch. So don't do the Android logo. Let me just, for my own curiosity here. Sometimes it's from last semester, it's still uploaded. Yeah, just leave that one for now. That's fine. So let's just proceed with this one. This one meaning the logo challenge. I think you all picked the easy one. We did the P. Remember which one we chose? We did the 2 P's inverted, right? And I want to point out again how the main purpose of doing this and the importance of it is a lot of these logos, sometimes you're going to get like sketches, doodles, drawings, a logo that's been done like 10 years ago that they don't have a digital copy of the original logo. AI is not going to do it either, okay? It comes down to you doing this as an artist. So these are some of the skills that if you have, you're not replaceable that easy, right? So to do this logo, you're going to have to just basically redo it, right? because even the program won't interpret it. I'll show you the latest AI in Illustrator. It'll try, but it's not gonna do auto trace because the pixels are too undefined. They're very poor quality. If it was a better quality logo, it might convert it to vector. There's tools out there that'll do that. But now when it comes to things like this, that's when you become a more valuable person in doing this stuff. So having said all that, let's pick the next one. But what's the next challenge? I'll tell you what. Row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5. The ones that are circled are the ones we did, the other class picked, the class before you. The ones that are not circled, I think we didn't do those. We opted out because a lot of them are repeated. I'll tell you if we pick the same one, I'll say, don't do that one because we did that last week. It's similar. Let's do something different. Like this VV here, I wouldn't do it because we did the Olympic rings logo and it's the same thing. So there's no point doing that one. The PP we already did, so that's also done as well. The blob is a tracing thing that I'll teach you. You're not going to retrace a blog. You're just going to use the AI, the trace mechanism in the program to do it. This is a drawing exercise more like, which I'll show you after. I like to start off with this one. What do you think? All right, that one looks a little, I think on your level right now, you're ready to face this kind of challenge. It's going to teach you a nice new way of approaching things like this because it's not as easy as it looks, especially when it comes to the finishing aspect. All right, so let's go ahead and do this one. So zoom right in there. You have to literally zoom right in. Because look, this is a template layer. If you go to the layers panel, if you look at the layers panel, you have your, this is your template layer, layer 1, and this is your training or tracing layer. So here's where we're going to be drawing all our elements. Now these are shapes that look like triangular, spiky looking shapes. So we're going to trace them using the pen tool. And the pen tool is something I introduced to you last week very quickly. Today we're going to, do more and more stuff with the pen tool. I'll even give you another challenge with it. Eventually, I want you to be versatile using this tool so you can kind of, use it as a tool. So having said all that, press D for default, which is white fill black stroke. And I want you to maybe focus on this top left corner triangular shape. When I say focused on it, I mean you can go click and click and click and click. The pen tool is very easy if you just go click on different points, right? It gets harder when you start clicking and dragging by creating curves. So now that we're going to duplicate this over here, you're going to use the selection tool, like the arrow tool. You're going to grab this little triangular shape. We're going to option, drag it over here. Option drag is a copy command, or alt drag if you have a PC. We're going to put on our X-ray vision glasses, okay, like that. We're going to press Command Y. Command Y will give us a see-through option of the objects. So when you do a see-through, do you like how I did the X-ray vision? They only work on certain occasions. So what I'm going to do here is this. I'm going to use the direct selection tool, like the whiter arrow. I'm going to click on this point right here. Be careful because that's how you get. This is like surgical precision now. And we're going to just move this and relocate it on that point right there. We're going to grab this point and just move it over here as well. And that's how we're going to adjust this shape. I want to show you how you can edit shapes and duplicating shapes and not recreating shapes. There's no need to always recreate something, then you can modify something. It's a little faster and easier, in most scenarios. It's like a script. You copy and paste it, then you change it, right? Or sometimes you can recreate it from scratch if you feel like it. This one here, I'll do the same thing. I'll use the darker arrow tool. I'm going to press Command Y, so back and forth with my preview, Option drag, right? Deselect, outline mode. By the way, this Command Y, Control Y thing, it's under View, Outline. So that's how you can put on your X-ray vision glasses. And then there you use the white arrow tool, the direct one, and then you click on this point, you move it over here, and you move this point over here. And if you want to zoom in really closely, you can see the image is not the greatest. Just make the best of it, okay? Make the best of it by doing what I'm doing here. And even these can align in a certain way if you want. I'm kind of using my own common sense here. I want the distance to be somewhat equal. See how I'm kind of gauging it based on that. These three shapes are the most important. I'll say it again. These three are the most important. They set the precedence for the next ones. So once we perfect these three, the rest are easy. All you do is you're flipping them, copying them, rotating them, and changing their color. So that's why you kind of pay attention to these particular three. That's why I did this. I zoomed in, and I did the little adjustment with the white arrow tool. I'm going to do the same thing. Zoom out. So I'm going to select these three triangular shapes that we custom made. Then hold the space bar, move it around here. Now you can use the menu or you can use the tool. I'll show you both methods. I want you to be flexible in both type of scenarios. First, you can do object because we're selecting three objects. We're going to do what's called a transform. Then you're going to do what's called a reflect. So you're transforming the objects in a reflective fashion. So it's going to be a vertical axis, right? It's going to be a horizontal flip. So vertical axis, horizontal flip, right? That's what the interpretation is. So if we go ahead and select that, that's exactly what it's going to give us, the option to do a vertical axis, which is a horizontal split. And before you do it, you can get a preview to see what it might look like before you commit to pressing OK. And don't press OK, because we don't want to change the original. We want to duplicate a copy. So by doing that, we press the copy button, and we'll have a copy of the same thing flipped in the same state we selected. Then we simply grab these three, move them over to the next position, and they're right there. Now I'm seeing how these two are looking like. I'm going to use the arrow tool again and just kind of nudge them a little bit, just to be on the whole. Whoops, be careful which anchor point you select, but it will kind of do that. Keep them nice and even. It's like the image isn't that clear, and the best we can do is recreate what's there. When we finish this, you'll see the finishing move on rounding the edges nice and smooth. That's the last step. But the first step is to get these angles correct. So if I press Command Y right now, you can see how these are kind of best positioned on top of their areas. And I purposely offsetted these two a bit just to keep the distance even. I'm kind of eyeballing it, right? All right. Next thing you want to do is select all these shapes here. I mean, you can kind of move them out of the way if you want. Use the eyedropper tool and eyedrop the same green that's in the back. And then you go back to the main selection tool and you move them back in place. So move it out of the way, sample the color, put them back. If you want, you can group them as well. You can right click and hit group, which is Command or Control G. Once you group them, this way you can just click on one, they all go together. And grouping is essential when it comes to using these object-oriented programs. Not just Illustrator, a lot of them. XD, Figma, Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, all of them. How do we do so far? We're okay? Perfect. Okay, the rest is really not that much difficult. We just have to reflect these on a 45-degree angle and do a rotate. I mean, I can do it two ways. I can flip them vertically, and then I can grab both copies and rotate them that way, right? Or I can do the center position and do what's called a 45 copy rotation effect. It's both kind of cool to know. So let me show you the flip first, because we already did the flip, where it's kind of ingrained in our memory and we're already kind of participating with it. So we're going to select this, go to Object, Transform, and we'll do another Reflect. Reflect is like flip. This time, horizontal axis. That means it's going to flip downwards, vertically. A vertical flip is done on the horizontal axis. We're going to hit the copy button, and we're going to move this all the way down here. I'm holding shift so it's nice and straight. If you want to move it slightly up, use the eyedropper tool, match that charcoal gray or black color, and just move them back in position. That's fine too. Now you can grab this, let's call them sets. You can grab the bottom set with shift the top set. Basically the two groups that we duplicated, which are these, right? We're going to like rotate them and duplicate them at the same time. Same thing goes. Object, transform. But this time I'm going to do rotate, not flip, because we already did we did like two flips already. Vertical, horizontal flip. Now we're doing a rotate, right? And the rotate means what angle are we rotating? 90 degrees, right? 90. You can hit the preview button and see exactly how it's going to be perfectly positioned in that area. So 90 degrees, you can also do minus or positive angular number there. Minus means counterclockwise, positive means clockwise. So I'm just going to go with 90, doesn't matter which one. Hit the copy button. Now you have the two other sets that are duplicated. Of course, you can select the one on the left. I drop the orange, then select the one on the right, and I drop the blue. And we kind of have all these things put together. And then we have these other intersecting points. These are more like a little tricky because they're custom, but I think I can show you a nice method of doing them as well, right? We can use the pen tool for that. Actually, why don't I show you something different? Like, I don't like to do repetitive stuff. Let me show you the width tool, because that's a cool, when that tool first came out, people didn't know what it was used for. And then they realized, hey, this is like a pretty good little tool we can use. So this line tool, okay, I'm on the vertical line. Just gonna click and drag the mouse to draw, just to trace the linear element. We're gonna go and eyedrop the orange like that. You see the strategy here? I'm picking the same color, but that's not a fill, that's a stroke. So I'm gonna convert the fill to a stroke. How? By clicking on this little switch button, the swap fill and stroke button. There's a shortcut with Shift X to do that. When you flip it to that one, you'll notice how it's starting to look like it's actually there. You can do two things now. Outline the stroke, which converts it to an object. You can stretch the 2 points, so it looks like it's like a thicker to a thinner segment. Or you can use this new feature that I was telling you about, called the width tool, There's the width tool. I'll be honest with you, I haven't really been using it that much, but you can literally expand lines like that. You can go, and it's unprecedented because I haven't seen this tool anywhere in any other program. So watch again. It only works on linear elements, like a line, right? You gotta go catch this little edge here, right? Catch the, because if you don't, if you go in the middle, look what happens. It does this cool calligraphy kind of effect. You can do that kind of stuff, but we're not here to do that. We're here to expand this base here. So, or you can just grab the edge, the corner. It'll work too. So once you do that, it's surely gonna work. So now you have this very thin looking, well, let's thin this one out. So that means I'm gonna go here, whoops, go to this. And again, where is this tool again? Right here. It's Shift W is a shortcut. You can also catch it from the left, right beside the little pin tool. It's called the width tool. And you can go ahead and move these things a little more in, like that. So I'm kind of making these points narrower, and I'm making those ones thicker. I'm just trying to perfect this line here that I'm gonna then duplicate and change. This is very unique, by the way, but it's really cool. Now, I like to keep this object, I like to keep everything in the same property. See, I don't like to have a mix of two things. Those triangles that we made, it's a fill-based object. This new thing that we just made, it's a stroke-based object. I like to keep them uniform because I like to change the colors and stuff at an instance. I don't want to have to go and select one and then the other back and forth. It could get too, confusing, I guess, when you have to do adjustments. So therefore, let's eliminate this obstacle and convert this linear shape here. We did this with the rings, if you remember. Object, path, outline, stroke. I believe I asked you to screen capture this one because it was a very important little shortcut to get those rings done. So if you do outline stroke, it's going to do just that. This now became an object. Just like these little triangles we made, so is this one. It's in the same category as a fill, no stroke. Furthermore, if you want to perfect it, you can still use the white arrow, the little white arrow in the corner there. You can just grab these points and you can actually fix them and stuff. If you really feel it's necessary, you can edit it now like a normal shape. As opposed to the stroke, you have to use a different method called the width tool. I just wanted to show you both. Honestly, we could have done this first. From the get-go, we could have done this and done those little points. But I wanted to show you the width tool because it's cool. And with that, you can go back and forth. Okay, so now that this is done, what happens next is very interesting. This technique here, it's going to help us with these other challenges. One of them could be this one here. One of them could be this one here. These are all similar, eh? This one here or that one there. They all have something in common. They have a rotation of an object being repeated, right? So keep that in mind because that rotation thing is important. A lot of things rotate, whether it's a logo or a clock, like a traditional clock that rotates on a center axis and it rotates in a circular shape. So these are the kind of geometry things. You don't have to be a math expert to know this, but we can all understand how shapes work and how they kind of fall in line together. So same with this. See, now that it's done, I want to copy this here, there, and there. I want to teach you a cool method though, not this menu thing that we just did, which is fine, it works. But I'm going to teach you directly how to do it with the rotate tool. This is a hands-on approach. By default, and again, this is selected. Can I just change the color of this so you can really see it? I'll make it like pink, okay? Can you see it now? Right? So this is like selected, highlighted, right? I'm going to go to the rotate tool. By default, the registration point is in the center. By default, everything is in the middle. Text, objects, and stuff. Unless you specify otherwise over here, you can put it in the center. You can put it to the corner or whatever. But this works on like normal shapes. This is an abnormal shape. It's a custom-made shape that we made. The best way to reposition this registration is to click on this little axis here. Look where I'm clicking in the center of where this will actually pivot. It's like putting like a nail, and you're grabbing something and you're rotating it. It's like an axis of registration. Does that make sense? So we're like pinning it right there. By doing that, we just have to go click. If you mess it up, just click again. Like literally right here between these pixels. So I go click. You watching? Now I'm going to grab it from the other edge, and now I'm going to rotate it perfectly around this axis. Do you see? But I'm not just going to rotate it. I'm going to hold Option. See, Option copies it, right? So Option drag, and guess what else I'm going to do? Hold Shift. So Option drag Shift, and it should snap perfectly to 45 or 90 degrees. So if I let go now, look at this now. Command D, which is step and repeat. It does the same 45-degree angle. Very, very smart, this program. That's why I love Illustrator. Nothing in the world can compare to this program. That's why I love teaching it too. It's exciting. I'll do it again. Now, this one always throws people off, so don't feel bad, because this is like an advanced, this is like Jedi 5.0 move right here. Okay, so I'm gonna go Command Z, Command Z, Command Z, back to this one. Are we all here though? We're all here? So I have this object selected. Click on this rotate tool. And this technique works in any transformation, flips, scales, rotates, but rotates the more effective and the most, I guess, versatile one. So what you do is you reset the registration in the center here. That means you have to click right here or right over here. See where these pixels meet? I'm going to click right there, because I know it's off a little bit. Oh, it keeps doing that all the time. So you put the registration right in the middle of that of those pixels. Once you click there, Option drag the thicker end around. But watch this. When you Option drag or Alt drag, it's going to show you the copy. See, you're holding Alt the whole time. You're holding the mouse the whole time. I hope you have a mouse. Good luck doing this with your trackpad, by the way, because I'm using both hands right here. Option, drag, and I'm holding Shift. So Option, drag, then hold Shift. If you don't do it in this sequence, it won't work. You can't hold Shift, Option, drag. It's got to be Option, drag, then hold Shift. And then you let go of the mouse, and then you let go of the keyboard, shortcuts. And then you press Command D, Command D. If you don't do it exactly this way, it's not going to work. Okay? Did you get it now? Very good. It took me like 10 tries to get it right. For you guys are doing very good. Now we can change the colors. So this one could be like that orange. We just sample it here. Command click is a quicker way to select objects. Remember that one? This one here. I believe this one is also blue, and this one is like the orange. And we're almost done, but not really. Right? This is not really done because there's one more problem that I see. But what we can do though is select the whole thing and group it, right? Control G or Command G, and then move this out of the way. I mean, it's not bad, but what do you think is missing that's integral to the completion of this? What's the problem? That's right. It's not too round. It's very, very choppy, right? If you see this one, it's smoother on the circumference. This one is very choppy. So how do we make it smooth? Do we have to go to each point and smooth it out? It's a lot of work, right? So how do we smoothen the edges? This is why I love this. Like, I love a few of these logos. I like the whole thing, but a few of them I really like from a learning perspective, because you get to learn all these important little things that you can put on almost anything. So I'm going to put this back here for a second. Now that we know the problem, we can identify it. It's hard to see when you're overlapping an image in the background. The best way to round the edges overall is to create a supplementary shape, like an ellipse tool. I don't know if you know this, but if you click in the, if you start from the center, holding Option, do you know you can draw things from the center out? If you hold Option. If you don't hold Option, you go from the left to the right, right? But if you hold Option or Alt, and you go from the center, right, and you hold Option, and then you hold Shift with Option. See, Option Shift is like, they're like the most popular pair of shortcut commands in most Adobe programs. So Option, especially Illustrator, Option, then Shift, then drag, and slightly stop over here. Like, it's okay if you have a little space, because that'll trim the rest of them out. So just kind of stop like right. I'll exaggerate. I'll go a little more in like this, right? I'm just going to move it like, I'm going to nudge it with my keyboard direction keys. I'm going to go up, down. No, I better not even do that. Just leave it alone. That's fine. But this circle here will act like a mask. The mask will trim the rest of the edges out of the way, right? So this is called a clipping mask. And a clipping mask is a very popular method in this program to do things like this. You can do a lot of things. You can put an image and a shape and put the picture to only be visible in the circle. Get it? It's like a mask. You can draw like a star. You can draw like another complicated shape. And what this does is it creates a mask. So only the image, or in this case, the shapes are visible through that area. So to do that, you select the whole thing. When I say the whole thing, I mean click and drag the mouse, because you can't mess this up, because if you don't select everything, it might not give you the same results you want. So make sure you select from here to there, a nice generous selection. You're going to right click, and you're going to make what's called a clipping mask. You want to screen capture this. If I were you right now, I'd press Command Shift 3, or I would just do a print screen, because this is a very popular little method that most designers love to use for producing different things. So if you do that, you're going to get definitely a perfect, not only a perfect, even better than the first one. Look how perfect and round this one is now. See? No problems anymore. All right, let's put it back. If you didn't finish this tonight, don't feel bad. This is being recorded. You can watch the video. I will make sure both videos are uploaded tonight. Okay? And I'll wait for Google or whatever, YouTube, to give me these things. Okay, so now, everybody did okay? Perfect. All right. Any other? Let's do one more, and then we'll start the main course. These are appetizers, okay? Which is the next appetizer you want? After that one, the rest of them don't look as bad, eh? They look kind of easier. We did a really good one. That was like the advanced one, I think. So the other ones are, they're all challenging. I'm not saying none of them are, but the other ones are a little more easier to execute. Do you want to say you do this one? The Pepsi challenge? Looks like the Pepsi logo. How would you trace that? That's a whole tracing thing. And maybe you're not ready to trace yet, so I'm gonna. Or do you want to do the DNA? Oh, this is another. Let's save this for next time, okay? This will take up a lot of time too. Maybe we'll start this one next week. This one's another tracing one. You can do if you want. This is a rotating one. You want to do this one actually? It'll reiterate the rotate, step and repeat stuff, or no? Yeah? Like, let me know. Like, if you have a suggestion, let me know. Who wants to do this one? Let's see. It's a good review of what we just did. No? Okay. Only got 2 votes. How about this one? We can do that one in like with your eyes closed, right? Okay. The flower, that's the tracing one. This one? This one? Okay. It's like, they're all, exactly. But this one has like a blend, which is good to know as well how to do. Okay, let's do this one, okay? I think most of your, it's same as the other one, it's just a little more challenging. So for this one, we start with the elliptical shape, basically one of those. It's like a flower petal. But we're going to basically put it here, right? We're going to rotate it around the corners and put in this position here, exactly where it should go. If you want to press Command or Control Y to get an approximate precision placement, go ahead. You can use the arrow keys back and forth. Press Command Y again. I'll press D for default. I want to keep it black and white. All right, so that was pretty easy. No, I like this one actually. It's a good follow-up from what we just did. It'll really reiterate the steps better because this is a little more complex with the whole step and repeat approach. So what I'm saying is you click here, right? Actually, let's do some math, okay? How many petals do we see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Is that a coincidence? Who's got like a nice classic? I like my classic watch. I just don't want to watch today. Bothers my sleeve sometimes. Who's got a nice classic? How many hours are there in the clock of the watch? Sorry? Right. Right? Like the clock. It's like 12 different things. I did one day. I did a joke. I'm like, there's no clocks on the wall. I go, let's make some time zones. So we made a clock like in 10 minutes, and we did a whole exercise on doing that. So the same thing, same approach goes by doing a little bit of math. So there's 12 petals. Did I do this? 12 petals. And what kind of rotation are we doing? What's the circle? How many degrees is a circle? 360. So what's 360 divided by 12? 30. So that means each petal is distance at exactly 30-degree rotation, correct? Is that what you said? That's what you meant, right? So that means if we do a simple math, we're not doing crazy, geometry here, 30-degree rotation of each petal on a 360 circle will get this done. Okay, so that means we have to establish a center point. The center point, the best way to do it is to draw a circle. So let's go draw a circle right here, okay? You can hold shift, start from the corner. Let me teach you a nice little trick too about putting coordinates together. Press Command or Control R, get the ruler, draw a guide right there, touching these ends, grab the top, draw another one right here. Why am I touching the ends? Because that's where they meet. This is the cross intersection, is where we can start the circle to position it perfectly on that target. It's like a targeting system, right? So if I hold shift, look at this. It's going to draw a perfect circle, grabbing these petals like that. That's why I did that for reference, right? If you wanna get more advanced, you can show the grid, but the grid won't work because you have like a white background and you can't see through the grid without transparency. So this is okay. You might though, however, want to press Command Y. Command Y will give you the exact precision of. I think I'm off a little bit, but that's okay because I'm clipping everything. So even though it looks off, it's fine. I can always reposition it if I feel like it's necessary. But this will do just fine. Like if you're this close, you're good, okay? See, the whole point of having the circle is because so I can see the center. The center is here of the whole thing. The center of this object is here. The center of the circle is here, right? So based on this information now, I can go ahead and do the rotation stuff. So I can go ahead and select this shape, right? I can go use the rotate tool. Remember the rotate tool? We just did this like 5 minutes ago. And we click here in the center to act as a registration. You click once, and you grab the edge of this pedal. You can press Command Y now, because you can see the whole thing if you want. Command Y if you want. Well, it's fine, right? Oh, it's in the back. Okay, whatever. I'll leave it in this mode. Doesn't matter. Once you click in the center here, right? You can grab the. Now I got to do it again. Just click again. Make sure it's selected. So select it. Rotate tool. Click here. And then Option drag with Shift. To the exact position that you want to rotate it. But this defies the math that I was doing earlier. So you can do it here. I just want to show you the difference. If you do it like with the eyes, look what happens. It's never going to be perfect. You see that? That's why we're going to use the formula we did earlier. That's why I want to do both to show an example. So we're going to do the mathematical equation way, because sometimes the human correction is not as good. Okay? So let's go ahead and back it up. Instead, let's use the formula. So we're gonna, let's just reselect it, deselect it, right? Because I don't want to confuse everybody. So click again on the edge here to select it. Go back to the rotate tool. This time, where the center is, hold Option or Alt and click once. So Option click once, and you should get this dialog box that shows up. This is the trick right here. So this works on any type of principle with objects. If you click on something and you Option click with whatever tool, scale, rotate, transform. Rotate's the most popular one, as you can see. Option click, this comes up. This is where you plug those numbers in. We already established 360. We already established 30 degrees. So you can just type 30. You can do like a preview. See the preview is going to go clockwise. If you type -30, or the counterclockwise, whichever way you want to go, doesn't matter. See, preview, right, like that. Once you're happy with the preview, hit the copy button. Once you hit the copy button, there's the duplicate. Go to the main selection tool and press Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D, and look at that. Can't get it more perfect than that. That's because we used a basic formula, right? And after press Command Y, you can see all these shapes. I'm just going to press D for default, or just get rid of the circle, because this circle was a temporary measure to have in place to see everything else. Just get rid of it. Should I do this again? Okay, all right. So tell you what, I'm going to back it up to the pedal. We have the pedal, right? So let's press Command Z, Command Z, Command Z. This time I'm going to bring the object to the front. I'm going to hit Command Shift Square just so we can see it better. I have a circle and I have a shape, right? I'm going to press Command Y to access this, X-ray vision, I call it, right? And you select the pedal, right? You go to the rotate tool, right? And you Option click in the center of the circle, which is why we made the circle for reference. So you Option click having only the pedal, don't select the circle. The circle's there for reference. Select the pedal, Option click here, right there. And then you're going to get the dialog box. Without Option, you won't get this dialog box to show up. Once it shows up, then you hit the preview button so you can see where you copy. Look, it's set to 90. Well, we're going to do 30 degrees. because we did the count. 30 times 12 is 360. So we're going to do 30, and we're going to hit the copy button. Who cares if it goes this way or that way? Just press Command D, and again, it's going to go perfectly back into position. If I press then exit back your Command Y, you should see the whole thing done. And I would never, ever attempt to do this anywhere else. Photoshop, forget about it. There's no point, right? XD, Figma, no, can't. Only Illustrator can handle this kind of complexity with execution the way it does. That's why you guys are learning like the best tool here. All right, so now we can go zoom out, select this circle in the back, just get rid of it. Select these petals, maybe move them out of the way. So we can do like a nice color match now. Don't group them because you have to ungroup them and reselect them. Just have them selected that way. What we'll do now is we're going to select this petal here. I drop this blue, and now I'm going to do it faster with the Command key or Control on the PC. So Command click, I drop, Command click, I drop, Command click, I drop, Command click, I drop. So Command just makes it easier to click when you do select these petal looking colors and shapes here. I think I messed up this color here, but whatever. I can just make it the same color as that one. Right? Are we done? Sorry? So you click on one, you go to the eyedropper, and you pick the color from here. But move it out of the way so you can see it. And the faster way is if you hold Command, click, sample, Command, click, sample. You see? Once you select the eyedropper tool, you can hold Control and release it back and forth to select the colors. That's why this is like something you have to practice with the keyboard and the approach. And if you look, you don't have to do it fast. I know the learning, it's 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, and you know you're tired already. It's been a long day for you, so I understand. Just take your time. You know, do it easy. You don't have to do it all level 3 or whatever. Just take your time. All right, so I'm going to zoom out now. Okay. Because the next thing I want to do is make this look like exactly it simulates the transparency effect. It's like, in a way, it's like a blend mode effect, right? Let me get rid of these guides first. Go to the guides. Guides, here we go. Wow. Hide guides. Right. Okay, the way to make the transparency, what you have to do. Well, there's several ways. You can set opacity on each one. Each one I can make it like, 50% opacity or 10% opacity. You can select the whole thing as a whole like this and change the opacity to, let's say, 85%. You can also change it to maybe 70%, you see? So changing the opacity overall gives you that see-through spectrum. Now, I know my sequence was wrong. I should have put, you can also grab the green one. Look, see the green one? I can also grab the green one and bring it to the front just by doing arrange, select, or whatever. So you could kind of edit this and maybe bring this to the front, right? Like you can kind of do a bunch of things to simulate the same thing. But all in all, this is how you can basically, just by reducing the opacity to 70% or something like that within that number, it'll give you that similar result. Another one is to do a blend, but I tried that before, it didn't really work as well. So I think the opacity in this case will do just fine, right? You can group it when you're done, Command G, put it back exactly where it is. And we can kind of circle these and say, let me get rid of the older circles. Tell you what, I'm gonna, because this is a new class that we're doing here, I'm just gonna reposition the circles to the ones that we did. So we did that one. We did this one over here. Just going to reposition those. And we also did this one over here. So we got 3 down, and we have a few to go by the time we finish this semester. Like, I'm going to challenge you every time we meet in the beginning just to do a warm-up exercise with Illustrator to get things done. And, you know, it's amazing how much you learn doing these simple technical little things. It's not just about being creative. You're very limited when you're creative and you can't execute. That's when the limits come about. So by having no bounds of limitation, you can almost do anything, you know, you basically desire, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and save this now and continue it next week. I think we did do a lot already, that's good. And I want you to think about which one you wanna do next week. So maybe pick one for now and we can start with that one. I'll be honest with you, this one is very similar to what we just did. This one is very similar to what we just did. So we don't have to do this row here. This one's a little tricky with the stroke. We might try that if you want. But again, it's the same rotate, rotate, rotate. A lot of them are similar, but a lot of them are different too. Yes. Which third one? So from left to right, this one here, this one, one more, this one here, yeah. So this one's more like a pen tool exercise, right? Where you have to trace, like I'll show you this now since you asked, I'd like to follow up with you, right? So for this one, you got to learn the pen tool, okay? And this is there's no easy way but to practice it. I know last week we kind of did a demo, but the way I'm going to do this, I'll press D for default. And the trick is here to take out the white fill. So you only have like a black stroke. So this white fill is going to be null. See, none. So see this edge over here? You always start at the corner. Every time you draw a shape, you never ever start in the middle of a curve. You always start at the edge of the corner like I'm going to do here. So if I click here like that, just click once. You always click once and let go to start. Never click, drag, and like, don't hurry this. Take your time. So once you click, you've established your beginning anchor point. Now what I'm going to do is go over here. Look, not here, but around here somewhere. Around here somewhere. And this comes with a lot of, you know, trial and error and experience. So I'm going to click and drag the mouse like that in this direction. You see how I'm dragging it perfectly to cover my previous track and go into the next track. So now I'm going to go around here somewhere. Watch this. Here what this curve is, and I'm going to click and drag the mouse this way. Not too far, just a bit. And then I'm going to come over here and click once this way. And then I'm going to see how this goes. I'm going to come all the way here and just tackle this particular curve. And last but not least, connect this one with that one. This is not the easiest thing to do. It looks easy, but I'll do it again, right? Well, I'll give you a whole exercise on this. You're going to trace the letter S 10 times. The letter S 10 times. Why the letter S? Because it's the hardest one to trace. You can spot the flaws right away. So the letter S, you trace it and stuff. So to do this here, I want to show you one more time. I'll do the second one. Because this is honestly, once you do one, you just copy it over to the next one. See? Like this. So it becomes a, oh, it's flipped. Never mind. It's like a flip. So I'll do it again. So one more time. Here we go. Always start at the corner. This time I'll go the other way, okay? So I click here. And look at this. Small distances. Here, click, drag. Always go in the direction that you're supposed to. Go around here. Click. Do nothing. Right? Come around here. Click and drag. Come around here. Click and drag. Now watch this. I want to cut this. So what you do is you click exactly where you left off. You click once. Then you can go click and drag this way. It's about a lot of conscious clicking and dragging, when to do that, when not to do that. And this one, I'm going to go all the way, maybe here. And then I'll just connect it with this one. It's not perfect either. Then you go with the white arrow tool, which is the direct one, and you simply select it. Show edges. Thank you. There we go. You can look once you're done. Let's say you didn't do a perfect job. You can always fix it later. Go back and just nudge it, right? Do your little anchor points and stuff. So you can always fix it back and forth, right? That's the one. Then you can get the eyedropper, fill it. I think this is a copy of this one. You just go option click, watch this, grab the corner, rotate it 360, and drop it right over here, just like that. You can just copy the color, like get the orange, and just drop it back in place. And same thing goes with the top. You just trace those ones individually. Again, let me do this again with the pen tool. I go right there, press D for default, take off the fill, keep the black stroke. I always start that way. So I have like a black outline with no fill. This way I can see right through. So I click here. Watch me do this easy. Maybe I should have did the easy one first. So I click at the edge. I go around here somewhere or there, whichever way you want to go. I click, I drag the mouse, right? I stop. Okay, stop right there. My hands are free, right? Then I go this way, around here somewhere, maybe even here with the edges. But this time I'm going to strategically click the mouse this way. See, so it's catching that. And don't worry about this. We can always fix it later, right? Now, this is where it gets tricky because you have this leader going this way. This, call it the anchor point, and this one going that way. So what you do in this case, you do a cut. What do you cut? You cut the anchor point right there. You just click to cut. So there's no messing around. So sometimes on a corner like that, you got to break the corner, and then you just start a new one. You go click and drag. You do this, right? And then you follow it up with this one here. Right to it, click, drag, and just kind of do this. And this, trust me, this takes practice. You don't learn this in 1 hour. You practice this for like days and weeks. That's why I'm going to give you some tracing exercises, okay? You know, this is a whole career with this tool right here. People use, AutoCAD. People use AutoCAD with this too, okay? They do like draw like complex drawings, 3D software. This tool like exists in many advanced software applications. So Illustrator is obviously, inheriting it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and use the eyedropper tool, make it green, zoom out again. Let's quickly do an option drag down here. This needs a flip or a rotate. Sure, we'll just do one of those. Pop it back in place. Select all four, group them, and there you go. Okay, at least we got another one down. That's good. All right, so let's go ahead and, which one, the small one? Okay, no problem. So let me just move this out of the way so you can see, right? I'll do this top one here. I got the pen tool, right? I press D for default. Oh, I have it selected, accident. So D for default, no fill, just a black stroke is good. I'll always catch the edge, like right here, and just click and drag the mouse like that. So you kind of get a nice feel for it, right? And then I'm not gonna go all the way here. That's like a lot of, don't try to be a hero, basically I say. Just do one steps at a time. So go around here somewhere and just click and drag the mouse to get a nice curve like that going, see? Nice and easy, right? And then you go like, I think this one can cover this. So I just go click and drag, just get a nice cover on that one. Now this is the problem because it goes, I can't like go like that, right? Because it's hanging out. So what I do a cut, right? So to cut it, you click right there once to cut it. This is when people start getting a little mixed up, but it's easy once you practice it enough. I've been doing this for over 20 years, so for me, it's like easy, right? Doing it for the first time, I could imagine it's, but they made the tool easier now because it'll predict the points. So in Photoshop, there's a little easier execution in this as well. So watch this now. For this one, I would go maybe not here, maybe further here, like in the middle, and just do a click and drag like this, right? And to finish it, I'll go right to the end. I see the little 0, and I just go click and drag right about there to get it done. And even then, it's not perfect. I go use the white arrow tool, deselect, reselect the edges, click on the points, and perfect my anchor points, because these are called anchor points. So this is how you would do it. And again, I'll give you some practicing material for this, maybe today or whatever, to practice this drawing technique. Okay. Yay. Yeah, sure. I'll come over there. All right. Honestly, this is not something you can learn. It takes a lot of patience. But I'll promise I'll give you a good start with this. You know, since we're talking about it, let's go and really stretch this out a little further with this exercise I'm going to prepare. Let's put this away, okay? Because I really want to, I can see your interest in your facial expression. You guys are understanding how important this technique and this tool is. Well, let's just get to it then. Fine. So let's save this. Close it down. Okay, here's how you want to be good at this tool, this is what you have to do. Okay, we give this all our graphic design students too. From the other course and this school here, like same thing. They tons of tracing exercises. You want to watch a tutorial, you can go on YouTube and catch a tutorial too, right? You can go here, watch this. Pen tool, drawing. I'm not going to send you to YouTube. I'm just showing you examples of how important this thing is. There's even tons of tutorials. Look, pen tool drawing techniques, right? So you can go, you know, Adobe Illustrator. Let's, whatever this one is, I don't know. Oh, I'm under images here. Videos. Look, they drew Spider-Man with
in this Adobe Illustrator tutorial, we're going to take a look at the pen tool. So whether you're a total beginner or just don't understand the pen tool, you're going to learn a lot in this video. I think you'll really this layer, we'll call it lines, or the custom begin, like let's say right here.
So
and why am I picking right here?
Like
I don't really know. It just feels
character.
Right. The more you work with the pen tool, the more you'll kind of get a feel as well. Maybe I'll go up here to the crown of his head. Alt and click that anchor point, and it just sucks the tangent handle right in. So then we begin with a straight edge or a straight bullet to the foreground of our color selection.
You can watch a lot of tutorials, okay, on this. It's all over the internet, right? It's been around for a long time. Another good one, I think this one's good. This is like a good basic one.
Hey everyone, in this tutorial we're going to be taking a brief look at the pen tool. You'll see you get, and you can left straight line, and then you can left click and effect to the beginning, and you'll see a little circle.
So we did that last week, remember? Connect the dots, simple. When you hold the mouse is when he does the curves, see?
Okay, so you can let that go, and then you'll see it wants to automatically follow up points. Hold it and...
See, in the older version of this, you didn't have that follow-up. It didn't tell you. You had to predict. It was so much harder. This pen tool now, just to make you, kind of, you're at the right time at the right place. It's a little easier because it shows you a preview of the way it's stringed together. Before, it was just there and you had to guess. You had to literally guess what it's going to happen. And it was frustrating because how are you going to guess, okay? How are you going to guess? When you're learning, there's no guessing, right? And so that's why it was frustrating. Now it's easy because it shows you the handle and it shows you the connector and all these other things, right? So that's why it's good.
Draw another curve.
Right.
But what if we...
So anyways, I'm not gonna bore you with these tutorials, but there's all kinds of stuff out there. I'll give you my tutorial, okay? You ready? This is like the best one. So make a new file right now. Okay, we're gonna go with a print file. We'll do a letter size, like letter print. That's the one we're gonna make, which is 612 points by 792. In inches, that happens to be 8.5 by 11, which is considered US letter size. Okay, so US letter size, right here, 8.5 by 11 inches. Click OK, create. There it is, right? Generative AI tool in Illustrator. I'll show you that another time, okay? I still think there's a lot of room for growth in here, but we'll see. All right, so we're going to create our own scenario. I'm going to click on the type tool, the T. We're going to click once on the screen, type the letter S, capital S, right? Go to the black arrow tool, grab the corner and stretch it, holding Shift. Stretch one corner, stretch the other corner, make it like almost the full size of the page, like blown up like that. Okay, nice and big. Deselect it, right? This is the letter S. But the whole point is to convert it into a really poor looking, executed, pixelated object, like a makeup scenario. You're never gonna do this in real life. You're just gonna do this today. That's it. The reason why we're doing this is to create the makeup scenario of a bad looking logo like we did with the other ones, and we're tracing it. That's the whole purpose. So you're gonna click on this, okay? You're gonna click on the S. You're gonna go to Object, and we're gonna go to what's called Rasterize. Rasterize. What does rasterize mean? Sorry? Sorry, the door's making noise and stuff. Convert the object into pixels, right? So that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to convert the shape into tiny little pixels. That's what rasterize is. But what resolution are we going to do? Let's do like really low resolution. We'll do like screen 72. We're even going to do what's called like a bitmap. Bitmap 72 DPI rasterization of an object. This is really like making it on purpose. We're making it look bad just so we can make it like an extra size. So we're going to click OK, right? So if I zoom in now, it's going to look like that. You see? I want it to look like that so we can make it look like a logo that we're tracing. Okay. So now the next thing is to open the layers panel. So window, layers. Layers, 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 layers. There it is, layers, right? Usually I click on my tab over here. So when you open the layers panel, I'll even upload this on the site, okay? Because I want to have this ready for you to execute over and over again until you get really good at it, okay? Because honestly, learning this method is really good if you want to pursue this program further and learn other graphic design skills, right? So what I'm going to do is ask you to double click here on this layer 1. Not here, but here, like where this space is. The reason I'm doing this very specifically is because you get to do this panel here, right? And you get to convert this into a template. Converting this to a template is what I did with the previous exercise, the logo challenge, to make it look like an easy way to trace. Without this, when you do the extra vision, you can't see the back. Only this makes you look like, makes the visible layer appear, right? So for that reason, I'm going to click on this template, call it template, you know, just to kind of indicate what it is. So do all this stuff, and look, dim to 50%. That means make it like transparent. Have you ever traced anything by hand? I did. I used to trace like, you know, Marvel comic book heroes on the window, and I would stick them and get another piece of paper and trace them, you see? And then I would go and render that. I do it by hand. I could draw, but I just thought that was kind of cool and fast and easy and accurate. That was my tracing. This is no different. You're putting something at 50% and you're putting another layer on top to trace it. But you're tracing in a digital environment. You're not doing it by hand. So that's why we do this. Template, 50%, okay. Then we create a new layer right here. Create a new layer. This little button here. Create a new layer. And layer 2 is where you trace the S. And this is where you practice your craft. So we go back to the pen tool. We press D for default. We take out the white fill. We just leave the black stroke. Tell you what, I'm going to save this as is right now and upload this on our course page, and you can download it because it's already set up for you. You just have to trace and practice and practice. So I'm going to call this tracing S on the desktop. Save. So having said all that, let me do it right now in case you want to grab it. But honestly, you can practice this after if you want. Just watch me do it once because I want to move on to other things I got to show you. So I'm going to go ahead and upload it here. Under the Illustrator module, I'm going to hit the plus button, upload content, do the tracing S right here. Okay, so right, it's right there, visible. You can access it right here, front row center. Okay, so because you can now do the same thing I'm doing from this point onwards. Let me see if there's some people on the. Here's on here. Okay. All right. So now we start. The fun begins now. So you select the pen tool. Always, always, always take out the fill. If you don't do that, look what can happen. Look, if you're tracing with the fill, right? What happens is the stuff will get on the way, see? Like you can't see the stuff too well. That's why you want to make sure you make the fill nothing and you give it a stroke. That's why I always prefer you set it up before you start. So I'm going to hit no fill, black stroke. We start always at the corner, always. Never start in the middle of a curve because then that becomes like a little bumpy, surface, right? So we're going to start here, click once, go all the way. Like, don't try to be a hero. Don't try to go all the way here. It's not going to happen. It's a big angle to cover. So with experience, you also don't want to go too close and go click, 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 click. It's going to look very rough, right? So don't do that either. What you can do, though, for practice purposes, I always encourage students, pick maybe little steps at a time, like baby steps, right? So what you do is you go here, look, you go here, and you go click and drag if you want, and then go again, click and drag, just to practice, right? Because this way you're getting, your brain is programmed to follow objects in a linear fashion. So you go over here, and you always go, look, I always go in the same direction. I never go this way. I don't go that way. I always go to the next angle that I have to create. I always follow the direction. So you small little increment movements of the mouse. Here we go again. Now I'm going into bigger distances, right? Here we go again. Click and drag. You're just clicking and dragging into different points. Click and drag. Click and drag. And this is the most interesting one right here. Look at this one. This is where you have to cut the anchor point because it's a straight cut. It's an angle, right? That's when you have to remember to go and click here. In Photoshop, you have to hold Option to do that. See if you can remember that in 5 weeks. Because we'll do this in Photoshop one day. We'll cut out a streetcar or a bus or some kind of a geometrical or like an airplane and clip it from the sky and put it on an ad or something like that. Again, how are we going to do that? Using the pen tool, right? So we're using the pen tool here to draw things. So then you go here, you click here, and then you do the same thing. Click and drag, click and drag, click and drag. And by doing this 10 times, trust me, believe me, you're going to get that much better, okay? Click and drag again. Click and drag again. click and drag again. This one's a nice big one here, click and drag. Another way to cut it, same thing. If I don't cut this, it's gonna look like that. So you have to go cut and then join. And overall, I have a lot of points, but I did be able to orchestrate this tracing thing. And this, trust me, this is the best thing you can practice. I've done this enough times to know and saw a lot of these exercises. This was a good one, okay? So now if you switch it, you can see the level of detail that you see. Me, I didn't do this too well. Look, I messed up here a bit. You're never gonna get it perfect, but you can do like a 90% or something like that. That'll be good. So if you kind of see where the points are, you can also see where my points are. You can then go and fix it. With the white arrow, you can go back and you can fix some of these points. You see, you can tweak it. Like let's say this looks a little rougher on the edges. Well, I can go and fix it. I can go here. Maybe I made it too close. I'm gonna go drag this down here. But when you edit it, here's a rule of thumb. Always, always keep these at 180 degrees. Don't do one of these. That's not 180. Or if you hold Option, look what Option does. It independently executes the curve. This is dangerous because if you do this, it's not going to look right. It's going to do like a cut. So be careful. If you hold Option, always keep this 90, 180. Always keep it at 180. Just control the distance and slightly the angle if you need to, right? So practice this at home. Practice this whenever you get a chance. And, you know, eventually you'll get good at this stuff. And then I'll give you more complex stuff. You know what we did the graphic design program? We'll give them the Coca-Cola logo. Huh? Trace that one. Yeah, that was a good one, right? Until we know what the students did? They found the font. They found the Coca-Cola font. They downloaded it and said, "Oh, look, I did it." And we can tell it's the font. It's not the tracing logo. So there's always a way to cheat now, right? All right. So again, I gave you this online. You can access this on your portal, and you can definitely download this and try it at home if you're watching the video. I strongly encourage you to practice. And believe you me, eventually you'll get it done. Okay, now, Android logo. This one doesn't require tracing, but it involves a little bit of, you know, problem solving and how to execute, you know, object orientation and manipulation and stuff. So let's download this one here. It's called the Android logo. Go ahead. On the desktop is fine. Honestly, I did this from scratch. Just type in Android logo, right? And you can see all kinds of Android logos on the internet. And you can just grab one, save it, and open it in Illustrator. Our job is to recreate this logo. And you'll learn a lot of new things with this. And after doing what we just did, this shouldn't be that hard. We should do this really easily, but it's a good learning curve it's like a review with other little cool things along the way. That's why I like to throw this at this right now. So I think the file I gave you already has that built in. So if you open up the Android logo, oh, okay, just set up for you. So let's talk about the setup. So download it. The setup is the same as the tracing S, same thing. You put the sheet of paper, you dim it to 50%, you lock it. You lock it means you can't move it. It's stuck on the window. You remember we used to put tape, put on the window and put the other sheet and trace Superman or whatever, right? That's what we used to do. But now you have this digital layer here. You have the layers on a separate layer, and the other layer that I made is the one I'm tracing it on. I don't want you to redo it, but this is the steps you want to take if you want to do something else. Okay, so now what do we do? So now we start with the top portion of the logo. It looks like the R2D2 head, right? So to do that, just answer me one thing. Do you think I'll use the pen tool at all or no? No pen tool for this. So I don't want you to think the pen tool is all in all. No, you don't have to use the pen tool. but sometimes you do, right? Depending on what you have to basically draw. So here's the elliptical tool. What I'm going to do is click on this circle here and just basically draw an elliptical shape. I kind of messed it up, so I'm going to do it again. Look where this meets. Look where this meets. You can do like your own visual targeting. So this is the corner. If I start, look, this is the Y, this is the X. So if I kind of put it right there, right? You can even use the grid. The grid won't work though. You can't see the thing. But roughly, if you start here, roughly, and you hold the button, you might get a close circle that looks like that. Then you press Command Y, and then you can tweak it. You can go here and resize the logo, or the circle, I should say, to a different position. So it's just a circle, right? Maybe I'll make it a little lengthier. You can use the direction keys, left, right, up and down, right? Yeah, it could be a rounded rectangle too. Yeah, I totally agree with that. But even though we can still edit the circle, okay, I want them to edit a little bit too. But I think the rounded rectangle, because for this one we're going to use that one. For that one, I'll use the same technique. I'll use a square with the rounded corners. But for this one, I want to use a circle so we can know how to edit too. Because what I want to do here is this. Even though it's not perfect, I want you to be able to cut the anchor points. Now we're going to perform some surgery. I know I showed you how to do the Pathfinder. You put an object, you cut one from the other, right? But now you're going to learn how to do like cutting anchor points. So for that to work, you need to go over here where the eraser is and select the scissors. You can cut anywhere, but you know, the best thing to do is cut these points. So you cut this point here once, you'll see the anchor point show up. Then you go to the other side and you click again twice. So you click, and then you deselect with the arrow tool. Deselect. You can press Command Y if you want. Then you select the bottom piece and you delete it. Because you go, it's like a string. You cut, delete, right? Another way to edit shapes in Illustrator with precision, you can use scissors. And that cuts like anchor points. Now we're really getting into the science of the program. Because that's, you know, to the greatest detail that you can get. Now you can go and grab these anchor points here. Look, I can even move this a bit slightly here. Like, you know, we can adjust it. It's not really a big deal. Keep it nice and straight. That's fine, right? But these are still open paths, right? So now I'm going to select it with the rect selection tool, the white arrow. Watch this one. Ready? You click on this point, shift, select the other point. So both points are selected. Guess what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to tell them to join. What's the shortcut to join? Take a wild guess. Command J. Look, Command J, right? Join. See? Just like that. And it joins the anchor point. If you're not good in shortcuts or remembering, let me show you. It's under Object, Path, Join. It's right there. So there's a lot of, you know, tools and menus and stuff. But what I'm showing you here is the real kind of important stuff to remember. So if I zoom out now, I will have this Android kind of head manipulated object, right? Good. That was the hardest part of the exercise. Can you believe me? That was the hardest part. The other parts are easy. Because what we do now is we get a rectangle or rounded rectangle, whichever one, right? We come here. Look, you draw a rectangle like this, right? You go to the black arrow tool. And look what you do? You round the corners, right? But I don't want to round those corners. I want to round the bottom corner. So now what? How do I round only two sets of corners? Separate them. What's the other answer? Select the ones that I want, right? Okay, so you're all right. Let's undo, right? How do I select the ones that I want? I use the white arrow tool. Remember, the black one selects the whole object, the main one. The sub one, which is the lighter white arrow tool, you can go like this. Click on this corner, shift, click on the other corner. So I only selected those two corners. The top corners are not selected. It looks like they are, but they're not. How do I know? Because zoom in, this is like a solid red. This is like a hollow looking shape. I mean, it's really hard to distinguish, especially on the screen, but that's how you select both with the white arrow tool, click, shift, click. Then if you grab the little inner round part, look what happens. It's only gonna round those 2 points. Pretty clever, right? Now you can control what points can round, what not. That was the second hardest part of the exercise. See, now the arms and the legs is simple. You go draw a rectangle shape. Look, you start from here. You do one of these. Then you use the main selection tool and you do the whole thing once like that. All the way, look, all the way like that. Option drag it to the other side. Right? Look at this. Option drag here. Option drag over here. You can copy the same object 4 times to do the legs and the arms. And we're almost done. But see how this teaches you new ways of working with selections. Selecting points, not the object, helped us create round corners in a certain area. Cutting the head involved using scissors, which I wanted to introduce to you more surgical, precise methods of editing or cutting shapes. And of course, the other stuff is kind of important too. So the more you know, the better it is of executing these things, right? Okay, so now we can go ahead and maybe connect it together, because these shapes that overlap, like these three, like the body and the legs, should be like one shape. So I'm going to select like this, select those three, go to the Pathfinder. Remember the Pathfinder right here, and do like the first one, which is called Unite. Once I unite those, they become one shape or one object. Now I have this, and I have that, and I have this, and I have that, right? So I'm going to just press Command Z. The antennae, let's see what we've learned from the previous exercises to do the 2 antennas. They look simple, but let's make them like complicated if we can. So I'm going to use the stroke, the little line tool, draw like a line like that, right? I'm going to increase the stroke width like this, right? And I'm going to position this right over here. Notice something special about this? It's got a round edge. How do you round an edge on a line? Sorry? Right. Exactly. So if you choose the stroke option, very good. And you go to, look, sometimes you have to do this. You have to click here and show options. You might not get the options you're looking for. You got to like dig up a bit. You got to dig these things out. You got to look for the, oh, there you are, show options. Now I see it, right? If you don't see it, you got to look for it. Look for the little hamburger buttons on the corner, the little 3 lines that go across, like your phone has a lot of those, right? So what happens now is this. See what says corner? By default, it's set to, oh, sorry, the cap. The cap is set to like straight. It's called a butt cap. The middle, it's called a round cap. The end one is called the projection cap. Who cares about remembering these things? Just remember the middle one rounds it out. So click on that, and there's your rounded edge. See, once you know where it is, the next time you'll remember, right? So now this becomes like an object. I'm going to outline the stroke, and it becomes like a normal shape. I'm going to go here, object, path, outline stroke. This is a common place you go to convert strokes into fills. By doing that, This looks like a object now. Yeah. Which one? The object path stroke? Oh, this one here? Did you go to show options on the side here? Try to show options. Yeah. So that happens a lot. If you don't see something, always look for the options. And then you want to also click on the middle one. Sorry, the cap, the middle one here on the cap. And then to follow that up, you go to object, path, outline, stroke. Once that's done, if you do it again by accident, nothing's going to happen, by the way. Now we got to copy this all the way there. How do we do it precisely and perfectly? So watch this. You see the middle here? You can draw a guide. Look at the guide right here, the middle guide, right? Like a reference point. Now I'm going to select the antenna, right? I'm going to use the, I can do flip or rotate, whatever you want. I think the flip is better. Do you remember what the rotate was? We did the clock or the 360, 30 degrees. Go to the reflect one this time. Use the other one. I'll show you another cool thing you can do with this one now. This one's easier. You simply do the axis in the middle. Like you click anywhere. You can click like, you know, here, I guess, right? Click there and just hold option and drag this and flip it on the other side. But if you hold option then shift, it's perfectly gonna mirror it to the other side. You see? So that's why these little techniques are very, very well engraved in the program. There's nothing you can't do in Illustrator, okay? As far as objects orientation goes. Okay, so now I can, this was like a more technical explanation, but it works. I could have also selected this, and this would be the nice middle too. See, I just wanted to put a guide so I don't accidentally duplicate the head and not the antenna. Okay, so now we're ready to merge these two, or three, I should say. 1, 2, 3. Pathfinder, unite. Oh, there we go. So now we're gonna go and they get the color green in there. Move this out of the way. Eyedropper, green. Select this, this, and that. Eyedropper, green. Put the helmet back on, right? Oh, the eyes, we forgot the eyes. How do we do the eyes? Any suggestions? Draw a circle. But then what? So I'll draw a circle. Look, right from the center, option drag. There's a circle, right? What color should I make the circle? Like white? Should I take out the stroke and that's done? We should punch a hole through it. So when you put the logo on top of artwork and stuff, it's got the legitimate punch a hole. The eyes are punched in and invisible, right? So exactly, I heard we referenced the Pathfinder, right? So basically that's what the circle will do. Let's just do two at the same time, right? We're gonna see when you want to select object, like if you click here, look, you won't select nothing. The trick is in this mode, this outline mode, when you press Command Y, is to catch the middle, the center of the object to select it properly, or the edge. That's the only way. So then if you hold Option, drag, Shift, place, Command Y, zoom out, then we select this, this, and that. So the head and the two eyes, and we go over here, and we do the second one. The second one is called minus front. That means subtract the 2 from the 1, or 3 or 4. I think you have to do, I think goes up to 2, I think. Other way, it's called a compound path. It's a more advanced formula, but this works, right? Like that. How do we know it works? Looks the same, white background. How do you know? Well, if you do this, you can see it's see-through like that. You can see right through it. That's when you know you did the right holes. And eventually this became the logo that we traced, creating the templates from the background, getting a logo on the internet, and retracing it, making it an actual vector file. Okay, yes. The circle part, yeah, sure. So basically you want to create, let me just back it up here a bit. So you draw like you press Command Y, you draw a circle, right? You Option drag this to the other side, so you have two circles. Then you press Command or Control Y to see everything. So you select 1, 2, 3 with Shift. You select all three things, and the Pathfinder use the second one, minus front. Minus front, it's like cutting something from something else, like we did with the, let's say you have two circles. Remember the MasterCard? We did the logo and the moon. Same thing here, just punches a hole right through. So then if you press Command Y, you can see how that became what it is. Again, this is recorded, so if you guys want to try this again later, you got caught up behind or something like that, and you can always just watch it and do it again. Okay. All right. I don't mind doing it again if you want me to. That's what I'm here for, right? So I'm going to hit save, and basically you can save it as an Illustrator file and keep it for later for future use. All these things that I'm showing you is obviously referencing, our module in Illustrator here. So the logo exercises, the logo challenge, the Android, all these files here, and everything is there for you ready. Okay. Now the next thing I'll talk about is the UI kit. I'll get you started. I'll have to adjust that date. No way you're gonna do this by next week because it's like February the 8th. So I'm gonna change that to what else do we got? I'll give you 2 weeks for that one, okay? I'll give you an extra week. I think you need it for the UI kit, just to get comfortable with the program, okay? So I'm gonna make this UI kit here, just instead of the due date, because I want to cover this more next week in detail and go some more advanced stuff to give you time to do a good job on this. This UI kit, you can use it for your UX UI class. Are you guys doing XD with Felice? Yeah. So you can use this in XD. You can make the buttons, the switches, the little hamburger menus, because you can do better stuff here than I think XD. Although I love XD and how it works for prototyping, for designing Illustrator, right? Very apples and oranges, basically. So I'm going to change this to the 15th, okay? So you have an extra week for that one. All right, so hit save. So you're going to be designing a rough draft layout model of a UI kit to support the design elements that will play a key role into the web production techniques applied to a website or a mobile app if you want to put that in the same equation. The website or the app can be chosen by you, or you can make up a template website that can be integrated onto a real composite production design, whether it's WordPress, Wix, or any other template production system, of course, HTML and CSS as well. The class exercise should help you create this design along with the supported UI kit elements. So I want to see at least 3 various buttons, like a navigation set. I want to see at least 3 various drop-down hamburger search menus. I want to see at least 3 various sliders. I want to see at least 1 weather widget, or you can do both, or do a map component, right? Or I want to see, and the last thing is, give me an Illustrator file with all this. So let's just dive into this whole thing about the map component. You guys check your weather every morning. You watch CP24. You turn on your phone. You click on your weather app. That's what you see. Who made that? Right? There must have been somebody to design it in other Illustrator or other, I would say Illustrator maybe. We can use other programs as well. But somebody had to make the little cloud, the little sun, that's a weather widget. So if you want to make one of those for Mac, PC, mobile, I'm sure there's lots of weather apps out there. They'll use their own icons and widgets. That's what that means, okay? Map, you like Waze. Waze has a unique map, and then Google Map. There's a lot of map systems there. You can create like a portion of a map. You don't have to do a whole map. That's a lot of work by itself. But just some kind of a map system like Uber uses, and the Uber uses a different map, if you notice, than Waze or Google. So it's like a different drawing system, okay? I'll show you some examples from my previous students. This is the actual PDF handout. This is an example here, okay? You're gonna do this in Illustrator, and I will know you did it in Illustrator because I can see your Remember, I can press Command Y, right? But there's other ways as well. Just so you can see other UI kits, right? You can see under images, tons of UI kits done in these programs. Here's a nice popular one, right? This is a nice one here. This one captures everything I mentioned, except the weather widget or the map. It's got the sliders. These are little switch buttons. This is slider, right? Sliders. These are basic buttons, like roll over, click, roll over, hover. You can do all that. The states. A drop-down menu, input. Right, so there's the hamburger menu, or different ways you can capture these buttons. So I'm not going to be too picky, but I want to see a good array of things that you can design. Okay, so once you put this together for me, even this would be good. Maybe not to that complexity, but similar. That's fine. Okay.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Would we be required to have a particular size of the board?
Good question. Very good. I like to keep it anywhere from 8.5 by 11, like a normal sheet size, because a lot of students like to print and draw, to maybe 11 by 17. So honestly, it's up to you. There's no real definitive size for a UI kit. You know what I mean? It's like XD. You can do any size you want, right? So, but that's good that you asked that question, so you can actually do. And if you're listening, you can start. You can start here. We're gonna do that right now in Illustrator. So I'll demonstrate how to start. I'm gonna put this away. Okay. I'm just gonna get you started. Next week we'll focus on this more. I'm not gonna do a whole thing today because it's already 9 o'clock and we need time to just take a break and stuff. But I'll get you started with the file here since we're on a roll and this was recording right now. I'm gonna click on a new file. Okay. I would suggest you do a web size, large, 1920 by 1080p. That's as big as your television at home. Well, if it's 4K or 2K, whatever, it's still HD. That's a good size to start with. Okay, so 1920, 1080 pixels. That's bigger than the letter size, but that's fine. So start with that one, click OK, or create, and this is where you can start your UI kit. Perhaps I can go back here and do the size. Edit. What did I say? What size again?
90 by 10.
Very good. See, just seeing if you're paying attention there. 1080p. So I'd rather give you some kind of something to go with, because some of you will be like, what size should I start with? So that's a good way. I put there 1920 by 1080p. Okay, very good. So the buttons, okay? After doing these logo exercises, this thing should be like a piece of cake for you, right? It's just a bunch of shapes with colors. It's just a design that you have to figure out, the consistency. And I know Felicia taught you some design techniques too along the way, picking colors and fonts and stuff. So you can apply all those skills with my class as well. Although we're doing similar things here, web production techniques, we're using more advanced software. But with that comes the same, creative approach. You have to think about colors, fonts, right? What's the style? You can even go online and see what you like. So you know what? I really like what they did. Let me recreate that and make it even better or make it different. Because we can't reinvent the wheel. All the buttons look like buttons. All the sliders look like sliders. The only thing you can do different is changing the colors and the appearance or some other attributes along the way, right? So let's start with maybe drawing a rectangle tool. And if you want to do like simple colors and stuff, you can always go to Window. Watch this over here. Swatch libraries. Nature, neutral, pattern, scientific, foods, beverages, ice cream, whatever you're into, right? So let's go to one of those. And you can see all kinds of different color sets you can choose from. Let me make this a little bigger. Right? Now watch this. See the little arrows down here? You can go next, next, previous, previous. Right? Just gives you ideas of colors you can go with. And if you're not happy with these, you can go and just click on any color, double click or double click here and pick any color you want, basically. I mean, sky's your limit, right? But this just gives you nice sets to go by in terms of recognizing a certain flow of patterns and stuff. So I'm just going to go back to some of these pastel colors, right? There's more here. I can round the buttons a bit just because it kind of looks cool, right? Those round buttons. I can also type a text in there. A lot of buttons have names. If it's like a menu or something, some are more subtle, like, click here to enter, or, submit, click. So we're just gonna put the word button and just kind of keep it more generic. And you can put whatever you want, whatever you feel that's necessary. I'm just gonna put this right in the center, right? How do I center this perfectly inside? How do I center this perfectly? Again, Illustrator loves centering objects. So if you select, let's say it's over here, if you select both of these, right? If you look up here, your alignment features show up right away. As soon as you select one or two objects, you can go center and then middle. Because there's left, center, right, top, middle, bottom. And there's like tic-tac-toe. There's 9 different reference points. So just do middle, center for most cases, and you should be okay. I'm going to make this slightly bolder. Maybe I'll change the color. And there's the button, right? So now I'll do like a rollover function. So I'm going to grab this button here, option drag it down here, and change the color to something else. Maybe like a lighter shade, right? That could be like a rollover, right? If I'm doing a mobile app, there's no rollovers on apps. It's a touch screen. So it's like a click state or a deprecated state. Deprecated means you clicked and it stays on that state, like a tab thing. So whichever way you want to systemize this, it's up to you. Let me just do another one over here. Right, and this could be another state. Right? If you want to make the buttons more like old school, like a video game has a lot more fancier looking buttons and skins. Illustrator, again, is a great option for that. Let me show you another set. Option drag these here. Right? I'm just going to select like the back of these. And instead of solid colors, I'm going to change this to gradients. Remember the gradient button? It's right over, look at my mouse, right in the middle, gradients. You know what else you can do? Pick like gradient swatches. And the gradient swatches are where this is. So under window, watch this. Swatch libraries. You got to look for this kind of stuff, right? Gradients, and there's all kinds of gradients. I'll go with brights, right? Bright gradients colors. Make this nice and big again. Large view, and there it is. Thumbnail view. There we go, right? So this will be this green gradient color if I want. I can control it with the gradient tool as well, right? Like a soft gradient. If you want to have like a 3-dimensional looking button, okay, then you do this. You copy that one, copy, paste, right? You put it right on top, or paste in front if you want to make it faster, right? And then you do what's called a scale. You don't have to do it manually. You can do it like from the scale menu, but sometimes you have to kind of do this in order to get it like perfectly rounded. And you can then center it, center. It even tells you like reference points when you do that. The trick is you make a smaller version, right? A smaller version, and then you change the gradients to go the other opposite direction. So now you have something that looks like that. And all it took was two shapes, right? To make that little chiseled, beveled, like you're pushing the button look. Like the video games, a lot of them have this little more fancier eye candy buttons. Even websites have. I've seen websites that have, click here to win a prize, or, submit your file or something like that. Whether it's like a Dropbox or something, has a more fancier, visible, notable button. So you want to do those, you can just make gradients and just re-swipe the orientation differently. Hey, what happened to my text? I'm going to press Command Y and go select it and bring it to the front. Command Shift right square bucket, or right click, arrange, bring to front, right? And there's my button in that case. Now the button gets a little lost, so you can accentuate it a bit. You can select it, hit copy, watch this, down, right, down, right. Now I'm going to go edit, paste in front. Paste in front means paste the same thing on top of itself. I forgot to, before I do that, I should have changed this to black instead of white, just to create the shadow effect, and then I'll do paste in front. Now I did the same trick we did with the MasterCard logo 3 weeks ago to bring the button out a bit, right? You can kind of do things like that. I know it's looking like 1990, the button, but it's okay. Sometimes you need that, accent to show up. Well, there's so many things you can do here. Even like if you want to do the circles and the sliders, let's do one more here. I'll do the elliptical tool like this, right? So there's my sliders. We'll make these nice and orange looking. For this one, I want to change the gradient though to radial instead of linear. Now next week we'll get into more gradient design. I'll have a beautiful exercise set up for you to really master gradients and colors. So if I zoom in here, you can see this is already a gradient. I'm just gonna re-swipe the zoom from here to there. So it's like more like a three-dimensional looking, like a sphere, right? And this alone can do a lot of cool things, because then you can grab this, copy it, or you can do copy, paste in front, paste in front. Now watch this one. I double click on the scale tool and I scale it 90%. Never mind, let's do 80%. And I'll do what's called copy. Copy, go back to the gradient tool and swipe it again the other way maybe. Like that. Right, so I can have like a little button. And this, I'll group it together, right? And then I'll create this little rectangle tool, or maybe a line. I should do the line actually, with the rounded edges. That'll look nice. So we're gonna go over here, hold Shift, press D for default, make it nice and thick. Remember I did this with the antenna of the robot, with Android, we rounded the corners. So we're gonna go over here again where the stroke is and round the edges. So it looks like a nice smooth line. We can change the color to like a grayscale perhaps, and just bring this to the front. And this now became a slider for like some kind of an interactive purpose, some kind of JavaScript you might put on a website to do like a volume button or a fast forward button on a video. So now this, watch this now. I'm gonna go Option drag, right? Step and repeat. Now there's 3 of them. Move these up a little bit, move this over here, and move that over there, right? So we can have like a slider thing happen. Right? And you can keep going and making other kinds of other things. Now, I'm going to show you one more thing, and we'll wrap it up, okay? Even my battery is saying, hey, you're done here. How much battery do I got left? 8%. Oh, no. I'm going to plug it in quickly. You guys were saying, hopefully this battery dies, we're going to go home. We're almost done. Here we go. I just want to make sure we properly save the video. Okay. So, what I wanted to show you Let me just save this. We'll continue this next week, by the way. I want to show you some other techniques, but because you might have some questions and stuff. I'll save this as a UI kit demo, okay? Okay. If you go to Window, it's called a hidden gem here. You go to symbol library. Symbols are depository items in software. It's like clip art. It's built into the program. This has been around for like 20 years. That's the same stuff. I used to teach this stuff back in the days we used to use Flash and Director, and these things were still there. We made different interfaces back then because we didn't have smartphones. 20 years ago, there was no smartphones. We had mostly websites that were like 800 pixels wide. That's it. It wasn't 1080p. It was still 720p by 640. That was the resolution we had, right? And you can remember, you guys were around, I'm sure. So let's go to web icons or web buttons and bars. These were the ones I'm talking about. They're still used today. So what the icons look like, it's something like this, okay? You can really fancy them up if you want. Let's say you're looking for a search bar or a search button. Well, there's one right here, right? How do I change the color? How do I make it orange? So to change or edit symbols from the program, what you have to do is you have to do what's called break the link. Once you break the link, it expands the object into the fill and stroke properties. Then you have an object. Now you can change it to any color you wish. See, make it orange if I want. So once you break the link, look, there's another one here. That's what cell phones used to look like. All right, there you go. They're bringing them back, the flip phones or the Motorola's and stuff. Look, there's a little security. So you can have fun with these. If you want to use them in your buttons, sure. You know, if it works or helps you in any way, I don't mind if you utilize these symbols, right? Look, there's the home page button, whatever. I mean, think sometimes, look, WhatsApp, right? I mean, they just reuse things from the past and just make them newer and newer all the time, right? Things haven't changed much, right? Folders, files, they all look the same. So these are more classic, but you can still bring some nostalgia back and modify them or get ideas from them if you feel like it, right? Right? Look, printers are always going to look like printers, right? Okay, one more thing. These are the simple ones. Now, if I go left, these are the advanced ones. Now, these ones, when they came out, it was like, wow, this is some cool stuff. But even the Apple website used to use these for their tabs. I remember, like websites used to look like this. Let's say this was a website back then. It would like have tabs, right? And it would have like one, look, two, probably maybe like 3, 4 tabs. And this is how a website used to have like nice, cool tabs and stuff with buttons back in the day, right? So they would use the skins like that and make these fancy looking glass looking tabs. I still see something similar like that, but more so like image sliders, like carousels, image carousels. Well, you know, you have an image here and you got these buttons that go next and previous, right? Right? You got next, look, and then you got previous, right? This one here, and then you have the image in here. You go next and previous, like that. Now, you're saying, well, how do they make those buttons? Well, this button here, again, you have to break the link. It's a good educational thing because you can see something and say, I want to do that, but different. I'm not going to use, because I have these memorized. You throw this at me, I'll be like, come on, do your own stuff, right? But you could break this apart. You could go right click, ungroup. You have to ungroup it once you break the link. And then you can just go there and just to see how they made it, right? This is just a simple 4-piece object, right? You got a gradient with a stroke, another gradient on top of this one. Then you have this half moon looking thing. Well, how come that looks like this? It's nice and transparent. It's not transparent. It's actually because the opacity is 100, right? Like we did with the logo earlier with the opacity. What this is has some kind of a look. It's got a screen mode. Where's the screen mode? Right here it is. Multiply, screen. It's got the mode to look like it's opacity or transparent. I'm surprised it's still that. It should have been something else. Anyways, so that's what these things are. You can break them apart and learn from it. So you can learn how these fancy buttons are made if you want to take that approach. Look, there's a loading button. This one is still around, right? This one actually works, eh? Look, if you do it like this, see? Look, it keeps spinning. Look, it's loading. I'm just pressing step and repeat, by the way. Command D, right? But you can do all these things and integrate them in an interface and see how the buttons will look like. Like the progress bars, right? It's like the Apple computer back in 1998. It just kept going, loading, right? So they made those from back then till today. Same thing is done. Somebody has to make these UI kits, and then you can make them like work. You go to like XD and make those buttons clickable and the sliders draggable and have really fun with it. Okay, so that's your next assignment. I give you 2 weeks for this one, so you have some time. And then I'll talk about the big project. Oh my goodness, there's so much stuff, eh? What's today? February the 1st. We'll talk about it next week, okay? Just think about this for now. And the big project, I'll announce it. But for that one, I'll give you till the end of the midway through the semester, okay? See, I'm not giving you exams here. You don't get exams. I don't know which teacher will do that, but most of us will give you projects and assignments. So the next one's going to be the big one I'll give you, okay? All right, so that's it for tonight. I'm going to wrap it up now. Have a good night if you're watching this video. Hope you guys learned a lot today and had fun at the same time. I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye for now and have a great week. All right, bye for now.